The first problem, oxygen. The command module was going to run out in a matter of minutes. They had to figure out a way to save Lovell, Hayes, and Swigert fast. The only option was one they'd played out in simulations, but never expected to do.
So that you know where we're up to in this story, this most incredible story, we are currently on board the Apollo 13 with the crew, and very, very soon they're going to make the decision to abandon the command module and take refuge in the landing module, the LEM, as it is affectionately known amongst spacewalkers. Let's find out the reasons why, first of all, to keep you right up to speed. Let's find out the reasons why they have had to move from the command module over to the LEM.
It took 55 hours, 200,000 miles for the cracked wires in Tank 2 to become exposed. Once they were and the tank fan was turned on, a spark between them ignited a fire. The tank exploded.
Now, as a result of that explosion, the command module was beginning to lose its oxygen reserves and its power reserves. So that's why they decided to take the drastic measures of moving over to the LEM.
Now they start looking at the lunar module. Did you ever think you'd have to use that module as a lifeboat?
Never thought I'd have to use it as a lifeboat.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that they would ever have really even had to consider it. I mean, it was only designed to land on the moon and then return back to the command module. So yeah, that would never have crossed your mind. So I think it's probably important that we learn a little bit about this LEM.
The lunar module, the spidery-looking craft they'd planned to land on the moon and then leave behind. It had its own supply of air, water, and battery power.
The lunar module was so fragile, you could punch a hole through the skin in it. The lunar module was so fragile, you could punch a hole through the skin in it. We have a problem.
Ease up, old man. You're starting to sound like one of those conspiratards who says that we've never been to the moon, never had manned space flight to the moon, or we've never actually had manned space flight because, well, space is fake. You're starting to sound like one of those, mentioning that we have a problem, that the lunar module, the lunar landing module is only, really thin and you could poke a hole in it. That's just ridiculous.
The lunar module was so fragile, you could punch a hole through the skin in it.
Yeah, nah, he must have simply just misspoke, or maybe his memory's starting to fail him because he is getting on a little bit. Let's look for a different source of info.
The crew of Apollo 13 was riding in a lifeboat. 3 men in a lunar module meant for 2.
The LEM was a flimsy-looking, spidery-type vehicle. The crew compartment had no amenities whatsoever. It didn't even have seats. And the construction was just as lightweight as it could possibly be. For example, the skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick aluminum. Well, the skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick aluminum. That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together. That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together. You could easily, if you were careless, put your boot or your foot right through that wall.
We have a problem.
Now, surely it's not a problem at all, mate. Those super smart, very super intelligent NASA scientists and guys that built and designed things like this, they know what they're doing. And look, if it can be made from the very, very lightweight, super flimsy material, the weight of, tin foil or something like that, then I'm sure they knew what they were doing.
But working the lifeboat plan between the Earth and the Moon brought on a new set of problems that no one had ever considered.
The lunar module was designed never to come back home again, had no heat shield. The skin was so thin that you could punch your fist right through it if you wanted to.
Oh man, it was the same dude again. Saying it again, sure. Nah, maybe I misheard it. Hear it again.
The skin was so thin that you could punch your fist right through it if you wanted to. The skin was so thin that you could punch your fist right through it if you wanted to.
No, he definitely said it again. And he was on it. He rode inside it, so he should know. But that begs the question, how in the heck can a couple of bits of foil, as thick as a couple of bits of foil, protect you from the amazing forces of gas pressure from your inside of your little pressurized tinfoil capsule against the massive vacuum forces of space. It doesn't. Surely they can explain that. Surely.
It took 55 hours, 200,000 miles for the cracked wires in Tank 2 to become exposed. Once they were and the tank fan was turned on, a spark between them ignited a fire. The tank exploded. Only the vacuum of space kept it from destroying the ship.
That's all arse backwards. Space is as fake as all. Here we have 4 sheets of tinfoil.
That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together.
Aluminium foil. 4 sheets. Against the vacuum of space.
Phony fake show, dead giveaways.
Look, to demonstrate just how retarded that whole thing is. Here is a video of some huge big old tanker, right? And it is having the air sucked out of it from the inside. It is changing the pressure. It's creating a little bit of a vacuum on the inside. Nothing near even a smidgy-widgy bee's dick hair's breadth the size of the vacuum of space. And look at what it's capable of doing. Right, now consider this imaginary place called space and the reverse effect on a tiny little tinfoil capsule to the magnitude that we can't even fathom, greater than the vacuum force or the air pressure force we're witnessing here. And they tell us this.
Only the vacuum of space kept it from destroying the ship.
4 sheets.
Only the vacuum of space kept it from destroying the ship.
For example, the skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick aluminum. That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together. You could easily, if you were careless, put your boot or your foot right through that wall.
I heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
Alright, I declare that space is fake. Now, before you continue to laugh at me, I will concede I am not the most educated chap on the block. In fact, to be completely honest with you, I never completed high school. To what level I completed, I won't bother going on, but just know that I never completed high school. So I do not understand a huge vocabulary of very long, windy words. They can get past me there. I do have the capability of looking them up, so I'm not a complete retard. I do know how to do things like that. But I don't have a huge vocabulary of very, very long words, and I have an even shorter vocabulary of mathematical understanding. I can do the simple stuff, measure stuff, I can count, I can add up how much change I'm going to get from this. I know all that kind of garbage. But when it comes to the mathematics of physics and stuff like that, you have to be very imaginative, I think, for that to make any sense. And that seems to be the only way that any of this space stuff can be explained, is with really complicated maths, where it shouldn't have to be so strange and weird, like 3 or 4 layers of tin foil protecting 3 blokes from that huge vacuum of space. Again, a number to the size of a number differential between our atmosphere, the pressure, gas pressure we have here, to the lack of gas pressure up there. The number is huge. And 10 to the 17 Tor. Look, I said, it's not, all I know is that is some huge, big, ridiculous number that I can't wrap my head around. And if that was the case, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have any air to breathe, and we wouldn't have any water to drink, because that would all have dissipated and have been spread evenly out throughout this huge, vast vacuum that they want us to believe is this imaginary world called space. I call space fake, and I'm sticking to it. And besides, I get some great comments in the comment section from these videos. But for now, to me, you can think whatever you guys want, but to me, space, and particularly space travel, but even space itself, is just a mathematical construct. I call it fake. I call it bullshit. I call it a big fat lie. Cheerio.
The skin was so thin that you could punch your fist right through it if you wanted to.
Well, the skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick aluminum. That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together.
4 sheets.
That would be like 3 layers of Reynolds wrap put together.